Hello, this video is going to talk about the Silent Soccer Weekend that our local district, the East Central Soccer District, is promoting on October 7th and 8th. So, what is Silent Soccer about? It's not meant to be a punishment for the parents, it's meant to raise awareness about what are the best practices for promoting the development of referees and for players. So, let's talk about player development first. Parents like to help their kids. And often during soccer games, we see a lot of parents that like to yell and try to coach their kids from the sidelines. On a soccer field, players have to be able to make their own decisions. As players get older, every player should really be moving almost all the time. So one person, whether it be a coach or a parent, can't tell all the players what to be doing at the same time. So players have to be able to make their own decisions on the field, not parents and not coaches. So if I were to relate soccer to school, soccer practices are a lot like day-to-day schoolwork, where our players are learning how to play and what decisions to make. Games for a soccer program are like a test at school. It's an opportunity for players to show the parents and the coaches what they've learned and how they're doing. As a teacher, I wouldn't stand up in front of my class and tell them the answers to the test, because then that's showing them what I know, not what my students know. When we follow this process, then we have a cycle that we follow. As coaches, we observe what's happening in the game. We look to see what can we work on and what can we improve upon, and then that's what we take into practice. We work on those things we need to improve, and then we go back to the next game and we see how the players are doing. We evaluate that, and then we take that back into the next practice. And quite frankly, sometimes what parents are telling the kids to do is the exact opposite of what the coach wants the players to do. A few years ago, we had worked on defending. We'd spent a lot of time talking about how players should get to the ball quickly to put pressure on the other team, but then they should be patient and they should wait for that other attacking player to make a mistake, and that's when they should step in. So the first game rolled around after this practice, and one of the players on the other team got the ball. So our player pressured them, and they were being patient. And then the parents started to yell, "Get the ball! Get the ball! Steal it! Go, go!" Which then puts this kid in a tough spot. Do they do what they've learned about in practice? Or do they listen to the parents that are going to give them a ride home? According to USU Soccer, players will either be able to pay attention to what's happening in the game, or they'll be able to pay attention to what someone is saying, but not both. Obviously, we want our players making their own decisions, so we want them to be able to pay attention to what's happening in the game. They have to pay attention to what are their teammates doing, what are the opponents doing, what's the score of the game, what's the weather like. All of those different things are going to influence the decisions they make. So, in order for them to be able to process all that, they have to be able to focus, which means I, as a coach or the parents, can't be yelling at them when they're trying to focus and process what to do. So we talk to our coaches a lot about their role during a game. We tell our coaches that they should only be talking when the ball is out of play. So whether it be a throw-in, after a goal, at halftime, etc., those are the times that coaches should be giving feedback to the players. We don't want our coaches frantically pacing up and down the sidelines, micromanaging every aspect of the game, trying to tell the players what to do and when. We want our players to be making the decisions, not the coaches. So, moving forward, can we let our players practice making their own decisions? That's the only way we're going to be able to tell what needs to be done in practice, is if we can evaluate what the players know and what they need to work on. In future weekends, cheering is great, clapping, but try to avoid any type of a comment where you're telling a player what to do. And the last thing I'd say is really evaluate is what is being said during games. Is it worthwhile? I was coaching against another coach several years ago, and every time one of his players got the ball, he'd yell out, "All right, find someone in a red jersey, find someone in a red jersey." And I was sitting there contemplating, does this coach really think that his players don't understand they're supposed to pass it to their own teammates? So, why was that coach saying that? If I had to wager a guess, I'd say it's because he thought that his job was to yell and scream at his team and give them feedback. And if he wasn't doing that, then he wasn't doing his job. And quite frankly, that couldn't be further from the truth. You can tell someone is a good soccer coach when they're composed, when they give minimal feedback during games, and they give it during the appropriate times. That's someone that really knows what they're doing. And parents, a composed parent is going to be someone that's calm, occasionally cheering, and letting the players make their own decisions, not trying to micromanage the game. The other area we want to talk about is what can we do for referee development? We currently have a huge shortage of referees in our area, and there's a tremendous turnover rate. Referees get their initial training course, they start to ref. They often get discouraged because they're yelled and screamed at, they're verbally abused, and then they quit. And then we're stuck in this cycle where rather than having referees grow and develop and get better, we just replace them with other young new referees, and we don't see the growth that we should be seeing. So, talking about some basic agreements, some basic assumptions, referees, they're going to be doing the best job that they can. Young referees are going to ref young teams. You might have at a U11 team a 14-year-old ref. And so that 14-year-old ref, they're learning how to referee just as our players are learning how to play. Yelling at a referee, it's not going to help them improve as a referee. They're probably not going to change their call. Quite frankly, yelling at a ref, it's probably only going to fluster them, which might decrease their performance. Refereeing in general involves a lot of judgment calls. Not everyone is going to assess each situation the same. Someone might have a different angle, which would affect what they would see. And just upon seeing the exact same thing, two people might assess differently what happened. And that's the role of a referee, is to make those assessment calls. So whatever the referee makes as the judgment, that should be the final call, and then we move on from there. And if we have a young referee on a field, keep in mind that that referee, it's someone's child. Would you want adults screaming at your child? If there is a referee that is struggling, we as a club, we have a process that we can follow to help get that referee more support. Each club has a referee that assigns all of their games. So if we have a ref that's struggling, the coach can let our referee assigner know, and then they can provide additional support to help that referee grow. That's what the process should be, not yelling and screaming at a referee during a game. And we talk to our players at a young age about how referees don't influence games. It really upsets me when I have a player come off a field and they start talking about how, well, if the ref would have done this and if the ref would have done that, then we would have won the game. And that's sad to have young players trying to place blame on someone else for the outcome of a game. We talk to the players about the things that we can control. We can control how we play, but we cannot control the referees, and we can't control how the other team plays. So we need to do what we can do with what we can control. So we talk to the players about, whether we win or lose a game, that's determined by our actions and how we play, not by how the referee calls the game. So, in summary, silent soccer, it's only one weekend, but hopefully it's going to raise awareness about some best practices that our parents and coaches will follow for the rest of their soccer experience. Soccer, it's a game for the players. Players are the ones that make the decisions, not parents and not coaches. And we need our refs to continue to ref so they can grow and develop as well. So we have to respect and treat our referees great as well. Hopefully this video has helped provide some information on what silent soccer is all about. We want to let our soccer players play, and we want to let our refs ref, so each of them can develop and grow from year to year. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to let us know. Thanks, and have a great day.